What's up, everybody? It's your girl, Shanti Das. Yes, I started as your main podcast host back in 2017 with Free the Vision and did it for several years. And then we graduated and got another incredible young lady, Miss Life, who is usually here hosting, but I am sitting in for her today. So, as the CEO found out, I was like, let me step back in that role, in my original role, and get back to hosting the Silence to Shame podcast. But really, it's my love to bring these incredible stories to the forefront. There's so many wonderful people in our community who have compelling and important stories to share. And so we're just super excited to be here today and here for yet another really, really great conversation. And the title of today's episode is Royal Resilience, adjusting that crown or that cap, if you will, that I got on today after life storms. And that's something that so many of us go through. And so we're going to dive into the importance of bouncing back after adversity and reclaiming your power after traumatic experiences. And so our guest today is someone that I actually met through her husband. We both are mental health advocates. And so shout out to my brother, Douglas Reed, who has been doing incredible work. And he used to work with Black Men Heal and is still obviously supporting them in a big way, but he's doing a lot on his own as a public speaker and mental health advocate. And so I just want to wish him blessings on his continued journey as an advocate. But we have his beautiful and amazing wife, Nyree Reed, today on the show. And Nyree is a spiritual, inspirational speaker, author, actress, and a nurse. Nyree passionately inspires women in overcoming past experiences and everyday life challenges through motivational inspiration by sharing the word of God. Nyree's spiritual journey and pathway to peace led her to a passion for helping women mature in their spiritual growth and seeing their value as a queen. And I just love everything about that because, so many times in our communities, as sisters, we get knocked down and we knock each other down instead of treating one another like the queens that we are, right? Which was our birth-given right. And so Nyree started Queens Uplifting, a daily commitment that she dedicated to her closest friends, her queen team, which inspired her to build the vision and sharing the same impartation to the rest of the world. So let's give a warm Silence and Shame welcome to Nyree Reed. Welcome, Nyree.
Hello, Shanti. Thank you so much for this opportunity. It's such a pleasure to be here speaking with you today. I'm excited for this conversation.
And I'm so grateful to have you here. And I'm loving the gear. You got the Queens Uplifting sweatshirt and merchandise going on. I'm going to have to ask you later about that, how I can cop one of those and the earrings and just everything. You are giving it, Queen. So thank you for being here.
Thank you so much, Shanti. I appreciate it.
So my first question for you is, can you share with our listeners, what was like your toughest life journey thus far, or a few of those things, and kind of like what really led you to this moment right now?
Wow.
And I know that's a loaded question. So
There were several. There's several. But I'll just name some of the major
Yeah.
ones. Specifically at a young age of 17, being in juvenile detention at 17 years old with a drug trafficking charge, and then experiencing, house arrest and, the court system at the young age of 17, dealing with the aftermath of domestic violence, and also surviving suicide. All of this at 17 years old.
Oh my gosh.
And
I
so,
can't imagine. I mean, what was that like for you as a teenager having to deal with so much? And did you have any emotional support from your family members at all?
so how did I deal with it? So at 17 years old, I didn't realize that I had resources, first of all. I was always a shy introvert type of person, so I would never, reach out or to even share what
Mm-hmm.
was going on with me. So I did not reach out for any type of support. I just lived through it. But one of the toughest journeys that I faced was navigating through just deep emotional, mental struggles and not knowing that they were mental struggles because we just really become into awareness of mental health struggles within like the last, 4 or 5 years,
Mm-hmm.
with it being public. I mean, but
Right.
the suicide attempt at 17 years, it was just a moment where I was dealing with emotional pain, and really feeling like I wasn't loved because I
Mm.
hadn't gone through, I went through at 17 years old, I spent time in the juvenile detention that came from a drug trafficking and also, life, family dynamics, but really it was navigating through that emotional feeling and not knowing how to handle it, not having the resources around me or people to say like, hey, you need to speak to someone, or I didn't even know that you can go to your primary care provider and say like, I'm dealing with depression, I need an appointment. Like that's something that I push now to people, to let them know that it's as simple as you can call your primary care physician and say, I'm dealing with depression. They will get you in immediately for an emergency appointment to get you in so that they can get you some resources and help. But those are things that I didn't know at 17 years old.
Wow. Yeah. And it really, when you think about, you were saying the conversation kind of opening up in the last 5 years, it was still so much stigma, right? That was really prevalent. Do you feel comfortable sharing what led you to your suicide attempt?
It wasn't just one thing. It was unhealed wounds from my childhood.
Mm-hmm.
And it was really the belief of not having a purpose
Mm.
in life. Because at that time, I was a high school dropout. So my peers were like going to college and they were like starting to, pursue their dreams. And I wasn't. So I really felt like I had no purpose. I felt, I experienced trauma. I experienced suicide at the tender age of 5. My grandfather committed suicide when I was five
Oh,
years old.
I'm so
And I could
sorry.
still remember, thank you. I could still remember that day as if it was yesterday. Like it still
You
plays
were
in
there?
no, I was, well,
Oh,
we went to see him the night before it happened. He
I
was in the
see.
hospital.
Mm-hmm.
We went to see him the night before it happened in like 5 o'clock in the morning. I remember the phone ringing and my
Mm.
mother, and like seconds later, hearing my mother scream.
Mm.
Um, and so, just rejection, even like with boyfriends or friends,
Mm-hmm.
and like what you just said with Queens Uplifting Queens, girls can be very cruel
Yeah.
with, you know, just negative comments and words and gossip. So I was dealing with rejection at that time. And, those emotional wounds, they just made me feel like I had no value. And so the weight of carrying all of that became unbearable. And I just remember feeling like I just didn't want to be here. It was more so I didn't want to feel the pain. It
Mm.
was more so
Yeah.
I didn't want to feel the pain.
That's interesting. Thank you for sharing that and for your vulnerability. So I am actually coming up on my 10-year anniversary of my serious suicidal ideation. Although I did not attempt, I came really close. And I tell people it wasn't that I wanted to die, I wanted the pain to go away. So I empathize with you with that. And I truly understand that. Who helped you to kind of get the help that you needed or bounce back? Or who was that queen or king in your life around that time that kind of helped you navigate that?
So rebuilding was a very long process. It didn't happen back then. It actually took years for me to even address it.
Mm-hmm.
And that came from me hearing other people talk about it, such as Silence the Shame, and how, even when I go to conferences and workshops with my husband, hearing how people were, oh, it was okay to talk about
Yeah.
it.
Yeah.
So it wasn't until, you know, I was probably in my mid 30s that I started feeling like I wanted to live, not just exist,
Mm-hmm.
but to truly live. And I learned,
Ooh, and that's a
for me
big difference,
personally,
right?
was absolutely, absolutely. And for me, it was me leaning on my faith in God
Mm-hmm.
and knowing that I was loved, regardless of what was going around, around my environment, regardless of what people may have said to me or about me, but what He said about me. That's what I started to focus on. And, I was probably in my 40s when I actually started to go to therapy.
Oh,
And
wow.
that was a huge piece of it because of the stigma. I was afraid to talk about these things. I was embarrassed. I was really embarrassed to talk about some of the things that I had gone through and that I was experiencing. And then I didn't want pity. I didn't want pity from anyone. And
Mm-hmm.
so sometimes it's like, people may make you feel like if you talk about what you're going through that you're looking for attention, and I did not want that because I don't want pity from anyone. But I didn't feel comfortable until I was 40 to even go to a therapist and open up to share this. And that's when it was like I started to walk in freedom and liberty at that time, and it just helped me to unlearn those toxic beliefs that we
Mm-hmm.
sometimes believe,
Mm-hmm.
and also replace them with what God's truth said about me. I'm really big on that. And I started journaling.
Okay.
And that's how my first book, Queen's Uplifting, was birthed, because I started journaling my feelings. I
Mm.
started journaling, as I was writing, I would pray, I would write my prayers, exactly what I was praying. And then whatever scriptures came to me, I would write those scriptures and then I would start declaring them. So affirming
I
myself,
love that.
I started affirming myself. I started surrounding myself around other people that were able to pour into me and uplift me. And just over time, I saw that my pain had a purpose.
That's right.
And when I saw that, that's what fueled the resilience. And I was like,
Mm.
because I didn't have that as at 17 when I went through this event, I want to make sure that I be there for somebody that's going through this so that I can help them know that you can overcome this. And someone does care enough to tell you that you can live, you can survive.
Amen. And that crooked crown can be straightened, and we can walk with
Mm.
our head held high and our hearts full of joy and love. I love that. I just love that so much. Tell me a little bit more about the Queen's Uplifting book.
So Queen's Uplifting 21-day devotional, it's a journey. I wrote it for women, but then I found that kings were purchasing it and giving me like testimonies
Yes.
on how they were able to straighten their crowns, because we both have crowns.
That's right.
But it is basically, it's a devotional where there's 21 days.
Hmm.
Every day has a specific topic, and with that topic, there's a devotional. After each devotional, there's a prayer that's based on that devotional, and each devotional is also founded on a Bible scripture. And then I share a declaration to get people started, because I really am a firm believer of declaring your day. So
Hmm.
I actually have declarations in the chapter for you to declare your day. And at the end of each chapter, there are self-reflection questions for you to answer and work on yourself, on your personal journey, on your faith journey.
I love that. That's something that we all need to do. You got to take time and take stock in your life, what's going on. Self reflection is super important. I want to ask you, in this journey of kind of, having the resilience and again adjusting that crown after the storms, did that have an impact on your marriage and family life at all, or like what was that dynamic like for you, or did you feel like you had already adjusted your crown and you were whole before you even went into a relationship?
No, it truly had an impact on especially my marriage.
Mm.
I truly thank God for my husband, because God handpicked him to be with me, because I was in such a hurt place. I was so broken.
Mm-hmm.
And the way that he was able to still be there and encourage me and support me, he really is the one that pushed me out to speak and to do what I'm doing. So by me going through the process of healing, it has actually strengthened our marriage because I really didn't know how to receive love in the beginning. I
Mm.
wasn't used to someone showing me that attention and that love and that support. So it was very difficult for me in the beginning of our marriage. And now we've grown so much closer because I've come to a place of healing and accepting what I went through, but also using it to, push through and use it. It is my purpose. I know that it is my purpose now. So it has definitely helped, not only with my marriage, but also in other relationships, because now I can empathize for people. I don't just jump to conclusions when someone may be what you think acting funny. No, maybe they're going through something.
That's right.
Maybe I need to find out, ask them how they're doing, because we're always so quick to say like, oh, she looks mean or she seems to have an attitude, but it could be that maybe she's going through something. Maybe she's hurting. So it has definitely helped with my relationships. I would definitely say that.
I love that. And I'm so proud of you and your journey. It's super important. Nyree, why do you think self love is so important when trying to reclaim your power after adversity? What can you say to our listeners out there who might be embarrassed, ashamed of themselves, ashamed of what they're going through? They're on this journey of trying to figure it out, but there's still a lot of adversity in their life. Why do you need to love yourself through all of this?
In my opinion, Shanti, self love is about seeing yourself through God's eyes,
Mm.
not through the eyes of our past, not through the eyes of our pain and our experience, or what others may think or say about us. For me, it's about giving yourself grace, and I learned that to give yourself grace, and we don't do that enough. We have to first forgive ourselves. We talk about forgiving other people, but I believe that you have to forgive yourself, and you have to love yourself enough to give yourself that grace and setting boundaries. That was one of the hardest things for me to do, is setting boundaries. And it's not so much, it is about, keeping negative out, but also, you're protecting yourself while you're healing. So I'm a firm believer of setting boundaries and knowing your worth. Self-love is about knowing your worth and that you deserve joy. You deserve peace. You deserve all those things in life, to be happy, to be in a comfortable place. And I feel that when you love yourself, you don't allow anything else to define you, but you allow it to refine you. And
Wait, hold,
learning
hold.
to love
Time out, time
yourself,
out. You got to say that again. That was so profound. What'd you just say?
you have to learn to not let the negative past mistakes define you, but let it refine you. Let it refine you. Learning to love myself was so crucial in taking a step and taking my power back. That's how I was
Ooh.
able to take my power back, was by learning to love myself and going through that refining process.
Oh, that is so beautiful. Ah, I just love this. Today, we are talking about royal resilience, adjusting your crown after life's storms. And that is just super important. And so, again, I think these conversations are important for us to share, like with ourselves, our family members, and we talked about your relationship. What was that dynamic like as you were refining yourself, like with your other like sister friends and other queens or people in your family? Were they on board? Did they understand? Did they take that journey with you?
If I could be honest and
Yeah.
transparent, my circle became very small. And it
Mm.
was a hurtful period, a hurtful time, but it was necessary, because I had to isolate myself to protect myself. I had to find my peace. And no, people did not understand it. People actually took it personal. And I was like, this isn't anything against anybody. I'm doing what I need to do to find my peace, to save myself, because I'm not okay.
Mm-hmm.
I'm hurting and I need to heal. And in order for me to heal, it's almost like, I'm a nurse. So it's almost like being in a hospital and you just go through surgery. And so most times they will put you in an isolation room. And the reason they put you in that isolation room is to keep others out so that they don't carry their germs in and reinfect you.
Mm-hmm.
But you have that time to sit in that isolation to heal. So that was a very hard period in time for me because most people, very close people, did not understand that. And, because they didn't understand it, what people don't understand, they criticize. And
Right.
so I was criticized for things and it was very hurtful. But then again, I had to not pay attention to what people were saying and just keep myself focused on what I needed to do to make sure that Nyree was able to straighten her crown and move forward like the queen that I am.
I love that. And it's yeah, the healing journey can definitely be a lonely journey because people don't often understand. But I would say on the flip side of that too, for some people, it is important to let community in if you can, right? If they are empathetic or if they understand. Because I think oftentimes we're so hard on ourselves that there may be some genuine people that are trying to reach out and support you, but we're afraid to let them in. What would you say, even just
Yes.
now, right? That you are in this position where you are this advocate, you are publicly speaking, sharing your journey, encouraging, your queens and kings to make sure they're adjusting their crowns after whatever adversity that they've gone through, life challenges, mental health struggles. What do you say to them now, 2025, about the importance of once you are healed, about allowing the community in, and then also just the importance of storytelling. Why did you say yes to being on the Silence and Shame podcast today? Why is it important that, we share our scars and use them as a beautiful stepping stone towards healing and towards self-love and towards refining like who we are?
I would definitely say if you identify trusted people that you can go to and talk to, what I learned is um, vulnerability is not a bad thing.
Mm,
If you're not vulnerable to share what you're feeling, then you're not even opening up yourself for people to offer help and assistance. So number one, that would be the first thing that I would say is make sure that it's a trusted person. Um, Someone trusted, and also when you share your vulnerability with them, that are they're there to help you. Because if you don't share, like I said, if you don't share, you're not even opening up yourself to help, because some people may not even know that you
mm.
need help unless you say something. So I believe that it is very, very important to share it. And that's why even for me, I share my testimony now, and trust me, Shanti, it took me a long time to get here because I just had so much fear, to be honest. And I had to speak to
And
myself,
that's
and God
understandable.
didn't give me a spirit of fear, but of power, love, and a sound mind. And I literally had to speak that over myself every day. But now I know and I understand that God is using my testimony to help others. And if that's and then that's all it's for. Like, we go through things and it's not even about us. It's not about us. It's about who is the next person that we can help to pull through. If we survived through something and we came out of something, why can't we reach our hands back to help that person come through? So I am a firm believer that God is allowing me to share my testimony, and that He's equipped me in those storms. That's
That's
the
right.
other thing. Everybody can tell a story, but everybody can't share a story if
Mm,
they haven't gone through what you're going through. And so I know that He's equipped me with an understanding for people and what they may be going through. And because I successfully navigated through those experiences and I gained knowledge and understanding, now I can go and help those that are struggling in that same area that I struggled but came out of.
woo, yes, girl. You up here preaching today. I love it. And for those that are out there that, aren't as grounded, if you will, in their faith walk, and that's okay, or whether you believe in the universe or not, believe in something, right? something that can get you through. I am actually a woman of faith, and I can definitely relate to what you're saying, Nyree, but some of our listeners, may be struggling in that
Mhm.
component. But, you got to believe in something bigger than yourself. That is the important thing, right? And whether you're, again, praying to God in whatever version of your God might look like, or praying to the universe,
Mm.
allow that spiritual realm or force, if you will, to guide you, so that you can have the strength and wherewithal to go to therapy, or to go to support groups, or to get the help that you need. And then if you so feel like going out there and sharing with the community, that's a beautiful thing too. And not everyone feels comfortable with sharing their story, but that's why we honor you today, Queen, for sharing your story and being on the Silence the Shame podcast. We're so grateful to you. We're coming up on, gosh, these 30 minutes go by so quick. I would love for you, Nyree, to share with our listeners how we can support you. How can we get this fly sweatshirt you're wearing? How can we get this journal? Any merchandise, any other books that you have. Let us know how we can follow you and stay in touch.
Absolutely. Thank you, Shanti. You can send your requests to info@queensuplifting.com. You can also purchase both books, Queen's Uplifting 21 Day Devotional and Royal Resilience, on Amazon. You can follow me on Instagram at Nyree Speaks.
Okay, awesome. Well, thank you again. We're just so grateful at Silence the Shame for having you on the show today. We want to make sure that y'all so hit that like button on this episode and subscribe to our show. And please follow us on YouTube or all other platforms where you get your podcast content from. And just, make sure that you are taking care of yourself, that you are readjusting that crown, whether you are a person that is comfortable with going to therapy or getting help. Just consider focusing on you. Focus on self-love, right? Because we can't go through these storms without the love and support of someone, some other higher power, other being, or some other organization. And that's why we're here at Silence the Shame, to help people. So again, subscribe, share this important episode. Let's support Nyree. Let's give it up again for Nyree Reed for being on the show today. We are so grateful for you. And we just want to wish everyone the love and peace and support that they need. And as I always say, make sure you take time, save a life, and silence the shame.